I called my husband to celebrate buying our dream house. Instead, a little girl answered, said one word, and turned my entire 10-year marriage into a devastating lie. The last time I saw my husband's face, it was filled with a love so familiar and comforting it felt like my own personal sunrise. He was standing in the doorway of our apartment, rolling suitcase in hand. "I'll call you the second I land, okay?" Mark said, his smile crinkling the corners of his eyes in that way that always made my heart flutter, even after 10 years of marriage. He leaned in and gave me a deep, lingering kiss that tasted of coffee and promises. "Chicago will be boring without you." I squeezed his hand, tracing the faint scar on his knuckle. "Just close that deal for the firm and hurry back. I'll miss you." He winked, hoisted his bag, and was gone, the scent of his cologne hanging in the air like a ghost. For 3 days, everything was normal. We were masters of the long-distance routine. He was a senior software architect, so these week-long trips for big projects happened a couple of times a year. We had our rituals: the landed safe text, the quick video call before bed where he'd look tired but happy, telling me about his meetings and the ridiculously overpriced hotel food. His texts were a little more spaced out than usual this time, but I chalked it up to him being swamped. He was the lead on this project after all. The pressure was immense. I trusted him. I had no reason not to. Our life was good. We weren't perfect, no couple is, but we were solid. We were that couple our friends looked at with a mix of admiration and envy. 10 years, and we still held hands in public. We were saving aggressively for a house, a little 2-story with a porch swing and a yard for the dog we planned to get. We were building a future, brick by boring, beautiful brick. The 4th day was the day it all came crashing down. I was working from home, tapping away at my laptop, when my phone buzzed with a call from our real estate agent, Carol. My heart leaped into my throat. We'd put in an offer on our dream house a week ago, a charming little colonial just outside the city. We'd been outbid on 3 other houses, and I was trying not to get my hopes up, but this one felt different. "Sarah?" Carol's voice was practically bubbling. "You'd better be sitting down. They accepted your offer." A wave of pure, unadulterated joy washed over me. I shrieked so loud I'm pretty sure my cat, Jasper, levitated off the couch. "Oh my God, Carol, are you serious?" We went over the initial details, my hand trembling as I scribbled notes on a pad. A house. Our house. After all the saving, all the dreaming, all the years of living in a cramped apartment, it was finally happening. As soon as I hung up with Carol, my first and only thought was to call Mark. I couldn't just text him this news. I needed to hear his voice, to share this moment with him. He was going to lose his mind. I pulled up his contact, my thumb hovering over the call button as I imagined his reaction. He'd probably shout, startling whoever was around him, then his voice would drop into that low, happy rumble that was reserved just for me. My heart was doing a samba against my ribs. I pressed the button and listened to the familiar electronic ringtone. It rang once, twice, 3 times. I pictured his phone vibrating on a conference table. Maybe he was in the middle of a presentation. On the 4th ring, just as I was about to hang up and shoot him a frantic, "Call me ASAP!" text, the line clicked. But it wasn't Mark's deep, familiar, "Hey you," that greeted me. It was a tiny voice, high-pitched and sweet like a little bird. "Hello?" I froze. My entire body went rigid. I must have misdialed. I pulled the phone away from my ear to check the screen. No, it was right there. Mark, my love, with the goofy picture of him wearing a foam hat at a baseball game. I brought the phone back to my ear, my own voice a confused whisper. Hello? I'm sorry, I was trying to reach Mark." There was a soft rustling sound on the other end, like the phone was being passed between small hands. The little girl's voice came back, a little clearer this time, laced with the innocent confidence of a child who knows exactly what's going on in her world. "Oh," she said brightly, "Daddy can't come to the phone right now." The word hit me like a physical blow, knocking the air from my lungs. Daddy. It echoed in the sudden, cavernous silence of my apartment. My mind scrambled, trying to find a logical explanation. A niece? His cousin's kid? But he was in Chicago, alone, for work. My mouth felt dry, my tongue thick. "Daddy?" I managed to choke out, the word tasting like poison. The little girl hummed happily. "He's in the shower. He sings really loud." Before I could process the image of my husband showering in a hotel room while a strange little girl was close enough to answer his phone, I heard another sound. A woman's voice in the background, muffled but sharp. "Lily, who is that? Give me the phone." There was another fumbling sound, a child's faint, "Oops!" And then the line went dead. I stood there, phone pressed to my ear, listening to the deafening silence. The incredible news about our house, our future, had evaporated, replaced by a single terrifying question that was already starting to tear my world apart at the seams. Who was Lily? And why did she just call my husband Daddy? I stood frozen in the middle of my sun-drenched living room, the happy news about the house turning to ash in my mouth. My phone felt like a block of ice in my hand. Daddy. The word ricocheted around the inside of my skull, each echo louder and more horrifying than the last. Jasper, my cat, must have sensed the shift in the atmosphere because he jumped down from the couch and rubbed against my legs, purring anxiously. I barely felt him. My mind was a vortex of chaos. A wrong number? But how? I called him. I saw his name on my screen. A prank? Who would be so cruel? My thumb, shaking uncontrollably, hit redial. The call went straight to voicemail. Mark's cheerful, professional greeting played, "You've reached Mark. I can't get to the phone right now." And I hung up before the beep, a wave of nausea rolling through me. I called again. Voicemail. And again, voicemail. Panic, cold and sharp, began to claw its way up my throat. He wasn't just busy. He had turned his phone off. Or someone had. The woman. "Lily, give me the phone." Her voice had been sharp, panicked. The voice of someone caught. A text message pinged. It was from Mark. My heart hammered against my ribs. "Hey, so sorry about that. In the middle of a huge presentation and my phone was glitching out, dropping calls." "What's up?" Glitching out, dropping calls? It hadn't glitched. A child had answered. A child who called him Daddy. I typed back with fumbling fingers, my message blunt and devoid of emotion. "A little girl answered your phone." The 3 little dots appeared instantly, taunting me. He was typing. Then they disappear, then reappear. The seconds stretched into an eternity. Finally, a new message popped up. "Call me." I did. He answered on the first ring, his voice sounding strained, overly cheerful. "Hey, sorry, total chaos here. You would not believe the terrible reception in this conference room." "Mark," I said, my own voice flat and unrecognizable. "Who is Lily?" There was a pause. I could hear the faint manufactured sounds of office life in the background, a distant keyboard clatter, a muffled cough. It sounded fake, like a sound effect from a bad movie. "Oh, God, that's what this is about," he said, letting out a forced laugh. "Sarah, I'm so sorry. I totally forgot to tell you. My cousin Dave lives out here in the suburbs, and I met up with him and his family for a quick dinner last night. He dropped by the hotel this morning to bring me some papers I'd left in his car. His youngest, Lily. She's a little terror. She must have grabbed my phone off the table when I went to the bathroom. I'm so sorry. I can't believe she answered. His wife, Jessica, was mortified." The explanation was so smooth, so detailed. Dave. His cousin in Chicago. It made sense. I knew he had a cousin Dave. I'd met him once, years ago, at a wedding. My tightly coiled muscles began to relax. Just a fraction. I wanted to believe him. God, I wanted to believe him more than I had ever wanted anything in my life. The vision of our perfect house with the porch swing flickered back into view. She called you Daddy," I whispered, the words still feeling like shards of glass. "I know," he sighed, and this time he sounded genuinely remorseful. She's 3. She calls every guy daddy. It's this weird phase she's going through. Dave thinks it's hilarious. Jessica, not so much. Look, I'm really sorry it freaked you out. Bad timing. So, you called for something important? Is everything okay? The opening. The chance to rewind the last 10 minutes and go back to being the happy woman whose offer on her dream house just got accepted. They took our offer, I said, my voice thin. Carol called. We got the house. His reaction was exactly what I'd imagined an hour ago. He whooped, a loud, joyous sound. Are you kidding me? Yes! Oh my God, Sarah, that's amazing! See? I told you that was our house. We have to celebrate. When I get back, I'm taking you out for the best dinner of your life. He sounded so happy, so genuinely thrilled. He sounded like my Mark. The knot of fear in my stomach loosened its grip. I let myself breathe. It was a misunderstanding, a stupid, terrifying misunderstanding. We talked for another 10 minutes about the house, about the next steps, and by the time we hung up, I felt almost normal again. But the seed of doubt had been planted. After the call, I couldn't shake the memory of that woman's panicked voice. Mortified wasn't the word I'd use. It sounded more like pure terror. Just to put my mind completely at ease, I opened my laptop. It wasn't snooping, I told myself. It was just verification. I logged onto Facebook and searched for Jessica, Dave's wife. Her profile was public, filled with smiling photos. I scrolled through years of family portraits, trips to Disneyland, birthday parties. There was Dave, and there were their 2 beautiful children, 2 blonde, smiling boys. There was no little girl, no Lily. My blood ran cold. Maybe she was a new baby? But the girl on the phone sounded older than an infant. I kept scrolling, my heart pounding a frantic rhythm against my ribs. I found a post from last week, a family photo album. The caption read, "Soaking up the sun, last family vacation before the boys start school. Sar aloha." The picture was of Dave, Jessica, and their 2 sons, all wearing leis on a beach in Hawaii. The geotag confirmed it, Maui. They weren't in Chicago. They were thousands of miles away in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. The lie was so specific, so elaborate. He had an answer for everything, ready to go. My hands were trembling so hard I could barely control the mouse. Why lie? The question screamed in my mind. There had to be a reason, and with a sudden, gut-wrenching certainty, I knew I had to find it. I opened another tab, our shared credit card account, the one he used for travel so he could be reimbursed by his firm. I logged in, my stomach churning with a toxic mix of fear and adrenaline. I clicked on Pending Transactions. The flight to Chicago was there, purchased 2 weeks ago. Then I saw the hotel charge. It had posted this morning. The name wasn't a Marriott or a Hilton. It was the Willow Creek Inn. I'd never heard of it. I quickly copied the name into a Google search. The first result popped up, a quaint, charming boutique hotel with glowing reviews. My eyes scanned the page, looking for the address, looking for confirmation that it was in a Chicago suburb. And then I saw it. The location, printed in bold, clear letters that made the world tilt on its axis. The Willow Creek Inn wasn't in Chicago, Illinois. It was in Asheville, North Carolina. Asheville, North Carolina. The words swam before my eyes, blurring into an incoherent jumble of pixels on the laptop screen. It felt like the floor had dropped out from under me, leaving me suspended in a state of nauseating freefall. Chicago was a lie. His cousin Dave was a lie. The whole story, so perfectly constructed, so readily delivered, was a lie. He hadn't just stumbled. He had a pre-written script. He knew exactly what to say because he'd had time to prepare. The thought was colder and sharper than the initial shock. This wasn't a momentary lapse in judgment. This was a plan. This was a life. For a long moment, I just stared at the screen, my breath shallow. The triumphant email from our real estate agent was still open in another tab, a monument to a future that had just been demolished. Our dream house, the porch swing, the yard for a dog. It all felt like a cruel joke. Grief, thick and suffocating, tried to well up inside me, but something else pushed it back down. Ice. A cold, hard, crystalline rage started to form in my veins. He had not only betrayed me, he had insulted my intelligence. He thought I was a fool who would believe a story about a 3-year-old niece who didn't exist. He had stood in our doorway, kissed me goodbye, and looked me in the eye while knowing he was flying to another woman, another family. My fingers, moving with a newfound steadiness, flew across the keyboard. I logged into our shared email account, the one we used for bills and travel confirmations. I typed "flight" into the search bar. There it was, an email from United Airlines sent 2 weeks ago. Subject: your flight confirmation to Asheville. AVL. I clicked it open. 1 round-trip ticket. Mark Jennings. Departure from our home airport, arrival in Asheville, return flight scheduled for this coming Saturday. The evidence was irrefutable, laid out in black and white. There was no glitch. There was no misunderstanding. There was only a calculated, breathtaking deception. I spent the next hour working like an automaton. I opened a new browser in incognito mode. I booked the first flight to Asheville, leaving the next morning. I booked a rental car. I booked a room at a nondescript chain hotel 5 miles away from the Willow Creek Inn. As I entered my credit card information, my credit card, not our shared one, I felt a strange sense of detachment, as if I were watching a character in a movie. The woman on the screen was calm, efficient, and methodical. The woman inside was screaming. Just as I clicked confirm on my hotel room, my phone buzzed. It was him. A picture of a deep dish pizza popped up on my screen. The caption read, "Chicago does one thing right. Wish you were here to share this with me. Thinking of you. So." The lie was so audacious, so casual, it stole my breath. I stared at the picture of the pizza. It could have been from anywhere. A stock photo he'd saved on his phone for just this occasion. He was probably sitting across a table from her and Lily while texting me about how much he missed me. I knew I had to respond. I had to keep up the charade until I could look him in the eye. I took a deep breath, forcing a lightness into my thumbs that I did not feel. "Looks delicious. Don't have too much fun without me. Can't stop thinking about the house." I even added a little heart emoji, the performance of my life. He called me an hour later for our nightly video chat. I nearly let it go to voicemail, but I knew that would raise suspicion. I answered, forcing my face into a smile. "Hey you," I chirped, my voice sounding sickeningly sweet even to my own ears. His face filled my screen. He was in a hotel room, that much was true. It was generic enough. But he looked tired, and for a split second I saw a flicker of something in his eyes. Guilt? Stress? Or was I just imagining it? "Long day?" I asked, keeping my tone soft. "The longest," he sighed, running a hand through his hair. "These negotiations are brutal, but hearing about the house, that was the best news, Sarah. It makes all this worth it." He was weaponizing our future against me. The anger inside me flared, hot and bright. I had to bite my tongue to keep from screaming. We talked for 5 more minutes, 5 minutes of the most excruciating small talk of my life. He asked about my day, and I told him about a project at work. I asked about the weather in Chicago, and he gave a vague answer about it being windy, as usual. The lies just dripped from his mouth, easy and practiced. The next morning, I was on a 6 a.m. flight. As the plane took off, I watched our city shrink below me. I felt a profound sense of leaving my own life behind. The woman who had woken up yesterday excited about her future was gone. In her place was a woman flying towards a truth she wasn't sure she could survive. After I landed in Asheville and picked up my rental car, I didn't go to my hotel. I drove straight to the Willow Creek Inn. My heart was a frantic drum against my ribs. It was just as the website described, a beautiful rustic stone building nestled amongst trees. It looked more like a romantic getaway than a business hotel. I parked across the street, my hands shaking on the steering wheel. What was my plan? To storm in? To wait for him to come out? I didn't have to wait long. About 20 minutes later, the front door of the inn opened, and there he was, my Mark. He was wearing a casual Henley shirt and jeans, looking relaxed and happy. He wasn't alone. A woman with long brown hair was beside him, laughing at something he'd said, and holding his other hand was a little girl in a pink coat, with bright, curious eyes and a mop of dark curls. Lily. They walked towards a gray Ford Explorer parked near the entrance his rental car. He opened the back door for Lily, and I saw him lean in to buckle her into a car seat, a pink, glittery car seat that was permanently installed in the back of the SUV. He shut the door, walked around to the passenger side to let the woman in, and then got into the driver's seat. He wasn't on a business trip. He was on a family vacation with his other family. And as he pulled out of the parking lot and turned in my direction, I saw something on his dashboard that made my entire world go black. It was a framed picture, and sitting in the silver frame, smiling out at him, was me, the picture. My smiling face, propped up on his dashboard like a patron saint of his betrayal. The sight of it didn't just break my heart, it incinerated it. It wasn't just that he was living a double life. It was that he had so seamlessly integrated me into it. I was the prop that made it all feel normal for him, the safety net he could text about pizza while his other family sat across the table. I was the good wife, the stable home base he could lie to from his family vacation rental car. He wasn't torn between two lives. He was greedy. He wanted both. And in that moment, sitting in a cheap rental car 1,000 miles from home, I decided he would have neither. My carefully constructed rage from the day before solidified into a diamond-hard resolve. I started the car and followed them, keeping a safe distance. They drove to a picturesque downtown area, full of little shops and cafes. They looked like any other happy family. He held Lily's hand. The woman held his other. They stopped for ice cream. I watched from across the street as Mark knelt, wiping a smear of chocolate from his daughter's chin with his thumb. The gesture, so tender and familiar, it made me sick to my stomach. He used to do the same thing for me. All the small intimacies I thought were ours, he was just doling them out to whoever was in front of him. I waited until they went inside a children's bookstore. This was my chance. I got out of my car, my legs feeling strangely steady. I walked not into the bookstore, but to his Ford Explorer. My heart hammered, but my hands were still. The picture frame was still there, my own oblivious smile mocking me from behind the glass. I didn't smash the window. I didn't key the car. My revenge was going to be much quieter, much more complete. I took out my phone and took a clear, high-resolution picture of my own photo sitting on his dashboard. Then I found the rental car company's information on a sticker on the windshield. I went back to my hotel and became a detective. The woman's name was the first piece of the puzzle. It was easier to find than I thought. A quick search for Mark Jennings Asheville led me to a 5-year-old article from a local business journal about a new software startup. Mark was quoted as a visiting consultant from our main branch. And listed as one of the startup's co-founders was a woman named Anna Reyes. A few clicks later, I was on her Facebook page. It was private, but her profile picture was public. It was her, the woman from the inn, and standing beside her in the photo, with one arm around her and the other holding a toddler-aged Lily, was my husband. The rest of the evening was a blur of logistics. I called Carol, our real estate agent. My voice was calm and clear as I told her we had to pull our offer on the house due to a sudden and irreversible personal matter. She was disappointed but understanding. I emailed our apartment's management company and gave our 60-day notice. I logged into our joint bank account and transferred exactly 50% of the balance, my half of our shared life, into my personal account. Then I opened a new tab and started searching for divorce lawyers in my city. I spent hours reading reviews, finding the most ruthless, formidable-looking shark I could. The final step was the hardest. I created a new anonymous email address. I attached the photo I took of my picture on his dashboard. Then I attached Anna Reyes's Facebook profile picture, the one with him, her, and Lily. I wrote a simple, devastating subject line. Which one of us knows you're in Asheville? I didn't write a single word in the body of the email. The pictures said everything. I typed in 2 email addresses as recipients, Mark's personal account and his work account, the one where his bosses and colleagues would see it. My finger hovered over the send button for a long time. This was the point of no return. I pressed send. I flew home the next morning, turning my phone off for the entire duration of the flight. When I landed and switched it back on, it exploded with a barrage of notifications. Dozens of missed calls from Mark, a string of increasingly frantic texts. Sarah, what the hell is that email? This is some kind of sick joke. Where are you? Are you in Asheville? Sarah, please just call me. We can talk about this. Don't do this. You're destroying everything. I'm destroying everything? The audacity was breathtaking. I didn't respond. I went straight from the airport to our apartment. It looked exactly the same, but it felt alien, like a museum of a life that was no longer mine. I started packing. I took my clothes, my books, my personal belongings. I took the cat. I left his things untouched. I left the pictures of us on the walls. I wanted him to come back to a perfect hollow shell of the life he had torpedoed. My new lawyer was as good as her reviews. She had the divorce papers drawn up and filed by the time Mark's return flight landed on Saturday. He was served at the airport. I heard from a mutual friend that his firm had put him on immediate leave, pending an internal investigation, no doubt spurred on by the email I'd sent to his work address. His perfect life, built on a foundation of lies, was crumbling around him. I never spoke to him again. His voicemails eventually devolved from angry and panicked to pleading and pathetic. He was sorry. He'd made a terrible mistake. He loved me. He could fix this. But he couldn't. Some things, once broken, can never be fixed. I don't know what happened between him and Anna. I don't care. Her life, her child, they were collateral damage in his war of deceit, and while I felt a pang of sympathy for her, she was not my responsibility. My responsibility was to myself. It's been a year. The divorce is final. I live in a new apartment in a different part of the city, a place that holds no memories of him. Jasper loves the big, sunny window in the living room. I didn't get the house with the porch swing, but I'm saving again. My future is my own now, written in my own handwriting. Sometimes, late at night, the grief still finds me. I mourn the man I thought I married and the life I thought we had. But then I remember the chilling clarity of that moment in the rental car, the little girl who called my husband Daddy, and the cold, hard resolve that followed. He thought he could have 2 sunrises, one in each city, but his greed eclipsed them both, and now all he has is the dark.